All work has dealt with issues of social solidarity.
Yes.
And can you talk about your first work and perhaps
I'd love to do that. I only realized that solidarity was the word for it recently, I mean the last 10 years, when I was introduced to the literature on rational choice and political science in America when I was there the last 12 years. And I realized that is the subject, and they're dealing with it quite the wrong way, but because they're dealing with it from the point of view of an individual, whereas anthropology deals with the cultures and public standards of ideas, publicly standardized ideas. And I got to it, though, from my fieldwork. So it was, I don't think I thought of it as an important issue at all until I began to feel so sorry for the people I was studying, whom I admired so much in many ways, but who were so lacking in solidarity that they were exposing themselves to the depredations of the conquerors, the colonial power, by attacking each other all the time, accusing each other of witchcraft, and taking every bad thing that happened to anybody as a reason again for accusing each other again for something, and getting rid of each other. And that experience has molded my whole academic thinking, because I see it so much in academic life itself. The feeling I was talking about before is that when I came back from the field, I saw what I had been seeing before, only under different terms, amongst my colleagues and friends attacking each other. I was not averse to doing my own bit of attacking either.
The field work that you did was in Zaire.
Yes.
Can you talk briefly about that?
Yes, it was a wonderful opportunity. I went there in 49, you see, which is now 41 years ago. And I really chose it because I heard it was so romantic, this area. And it was because I wanted to study whole societies, whole systems, which seemed to be reasonably well adjusted to themselves. Of course, I would have had to find some other place to find one really like that. I believe they still exist. But they had only been really effectively colonized since the 1930s. The last ambush with bows and arrows against the district officers in 1933. Compared with British Africa, which was effectively colonized in the 1890s, that was a great advance, much closer to my time, you see, within 20 years. And although they were totally colonized, totally controlled, so what they had been all in the past is there in the lives of people who are still alive, so they could talk about what they were doing, and so you could see both their ideas of their past and the adjustments that they were making to there being great roads down between their villages, and a war having been on, which was closed by the time I got there. But during the war, they had been mobilized to produce for the Belgians, for the Allied war effort. So they were producing ground nuts a bit, but mostly maize for the rest of Africa for export. And so they've been introduced to a cash economy, which they hadn't had. So they had been quite self-sufficient at a very low level before. And now they needed cash. First of all, they needed to pay taxes. That was a simple give and take it back. And then, since that wasn't a really strong incentive, they were not really working as much as they might. The companies introduced shops and they began to want things to buy, so that then they worked to buy things, but I was there for all that, for that transition.
And you so-called disintegration of the culture? Yeah.
Yes, it was a reintegration at that time into, well, it was disintegration, as I said, about the witchcraft, but I think they'd always believed in witchcraft, but I think it would have been more balanced by their own feuding relations against other villages, which were stopped. They weren't any more allowed either to control their witchcraft by poison ordeal. They weren't allowed to organize their own witchcraft because it involved, they could put all suspicion off by putting somebody through an ordeal, which would kill him if he was guilty. And so that, if you were a responsible administrator, you wouldn't allow that probably if you didn't believe in witchcraft. So that was stopped. So therefore it was rampant more than it was before. And the missionaries were there teaching them that they shouldn't go for this witchcraft, nor should they go for their own anti-witchcraft cults, which they had again as a method of controlling this. They had all sorts of cults would follow one another, and I think all we had done was a way of creating peace, saying, look, we've taken this ritual formula now, and anybody who tries to kill anybody else in the witchcraft will be the first one to die. But we've all got to take it, every one of us. But the missionaries wouldn't let them do that, because it was false God as far as the missionaries were concerned. We had a great deal of nativistic going back to the origins of their religion. I now realise that I didn't enough before, because it was very esoteric, very secret, very difficult to find out about. But there's a young lady anthropologist now, trained at UCLA, who has written about it and seen new anti-sorcery cults and explained to me that it was in fact a primitivist movement that back to our old religion. So of course the missionaries didn't like that. And then they weren't allowed to have ambushes against each other or attack each other's villages, set fire to them and put arrows in each other. That again, the administration stopped. So they were not acting as they would have done, and if they had the old system, there'd have been much more scope for heroism and competition and pride and valor and the arts, which were very closely connected with the religion. So that I think the witchcraft would have been a minor element, given the flourishing of all the rest. But when I was there, it blew up, sort of hypertrophied into a major element of their lives.